Welcome to our part 3 of the webinar, Remote Working Issues. Today we are talking about productivity, and especially those last 8 weeks, we all probably had some days where we really said like, oh, that was a great day. I was so productive, got so many things done, and I just be so good. This feeling to be productive is really, really good, and you can take it on for a while. But we had also those days where we got nothing done, and the whole day you're like, I have no idea. I got nothing done. I was working, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, and I did nothing. I have the feeling I get nothing. And being remote, that hit us now more and more. Now, during this webinar, we are talking about productivity. But first, I want to take you a little bit back. So if you have been in the management webinar, you probably heard about the experience, me being a VIP driver, learning how to be solution-oriented, not problem-focused. Being a VIP driver, I learned also something else. Yes, it was the good old days. I was making money while sleeping or having fun, because I wasn't always driving with over 200 on the German Autobahn. Most of the time, over 80%, I was waiting if I have to drive or not. So I had events where I had to go to a lovely city like Salzburg or Rome and Paris. And for 3 days, I was not driving a single kilometer. I was just waiting 14 hours a day if I have to drive or not. Now think back in the 90s. No Wi-Fi, no smartphones, no internet, no laptop. So you had to be sharp dressed. You couldn't make a mess in your car. And the worst part, no coffee to go, easy to grab somewhere. So you were waiting 14 hours if you have to drive or not. Yes, I was studying, so I took my study stuff with me. No, because I was studying physics, so I couldn't pack everything and have it somehow messed around the car, because at any time I had to start driving. So I maybe had one book. So I learned to be patient. I learned to wait. The funny thing is, if I'm looking back now at all those days waiting 14 hours, I never felt unproductive. I never felt frustrating going to bed and like, today I did nothing. Of course, I got paid for doing nothing, for sitting and waiting. But still, if I have this feeling today, waiting for someone, waiting that a meeting starts, that someone gets done, I still get some money, waiting. But I feel frustrated, I feel unproductive because I have so many things to do. You know, waiting today lets us already feel unproductive. Now, if we look back at those days, less cars in Germany, and most of the highways were really free, no speed limits, so we could go fast, and it was great fun. Today, we have a lot of speed limits also in Germany because we have too many cars, so we drive slowly, but the information we are getting every day, this is on the digital Autobahn, and they have no speed limit. And that's the problem we are facing today, is that this information thrown at us every day is just too much. It's so much information we have to do. And that gets us into frustration to work on it, actually to be productive. Because which information I have to work on, when I have to work on. Now, let's go into this a little bit. But first of all, my presentation should work. First of all, I want to make an exercise with you. Please don't think. You can write it in the chat box, you can write it on a paper or somewhere on your PC, laptop. Don't think at all, just write down a number, how productive you felt over the last 8 weeks. You have exactly 10 seconds for that. Okay, good, stop. Now, you have this number, we come back to it later, just forget about it now. If we talk about productivity, there are coming two parts together. It's our self-measurement and the objective measurement. And the problem is it not always be aligned. and sometimes it's even in a conflict. So what is self-measurement? Self-measurement means if you get a task, if you have accepted, if you didn't accept it, there won't be a real big self-measurement because everything you're doing is to try to avoid the task. So first, and we talked about the management in it, you have to accept the task. If you accept the task, immediately, without you can do anything, already something happens in your mind. The question comes, can I do it? Is it too difficult or too easy? Those things have an influence on it, yeah? Too difficult gets a different feeling on it, too easy. While I get the easy task, you know, do they don't trust me and frustration comes up, or if you're good, like, I like the easy task because I can take them off, more productive. But questions like this immediately come up. And then it really starts. You think about the effort is required, the time I need, the resources I need, do I have the right equipment, and what should be the outcome? What is really the outcome I'm putting in and what I expect? Now, all those things happen immediately. And people always say, like, right equipment, that's normal. That's how I'm working. That's there. Not quite true. If I'm telling a little story, I was traveling a lot between Germany, Canada, and inside Europe. And because I had very often crash big numbers, do a lot of things, even in hotels, I always had a spare monitor with me, even in car or flying. So I had a special monitor, which didn't have a stand on. It was one monitor on its own, and it fit exactly in my suitcase in the middle. So everywhere where I would travel, I would have the spare monitor with me. Because if I had suddenly to do something and I needed this, I'm used, you probably saw the picture, I'm used to work with 3 monitors. So while traveling and be cut down to my laptop, if something was thrown at me, I realized, I can't do it. The equipment is not right. I'm not as effective. I'm not as fast as I want to. So this would immediately block me. So that's the reason why equipment comes also into place. Now, you have no chance actually to avoid this. So just accept it. If you get a task, you have the time already in place. You have your numbers figured out. And that's because your experience you had, similar tasks you have done, and those feelings come together. Now, as we can't avoid this, and we shouldn't avoid it, we have to train it so that our self-measurements get more accurate. So let me do a little example. I get a task, create a database, technical task. Now what happens is, you throw at me, we need this database. Out of the hip, I have this number, I need 20 hours. That's just coming out of the hip, it's this number is. But by telling this number, without even really thinking deeper into it, the number is out. And now we work against this number. Next thing, I start planning it. And you see the 20 is gone. I just put it out. That was my first shot. Now I start planning what I have to do. Coming already to 28. Now I start working on it. I put the planned time I have done out of my mind again and start working on it. And again, something different comes out. So you see, the first number, the planning number, and the number we're really using normally don't really go together. So if we look at the big picture, we saw that we shoot it out to 20, then we make the exact planning, then we booked our time, and now we have a difference. We have a -7. So in the result, we see I said this 20, now I needed 7 hours more. So somehow I feel already not so good, even if I got the task done. Remember the 7, this is -7. Now, if we move over to objective measurement, that makes it much, much easier because now we can put a formula on it. Output divided by input. while input is work in capital. Now, by looking at it, to be productive, I have to actually get more out than I put in. If you ask me now, as a physics engineer, if this is possible, I have to tell you no. By physics law, you can't get more out than you put in. If it would be possible, you have a nice startup, you have a perpetuum mobile, and you make a lot of money. Why we still have the feeling we can get more out, it's because there's a same time. So there are days and times where I can get more out because I put it earlier in. The factor team comes into place, where more people together get a bigger output for a different time and different persons, different group. But you have to take the team seriously. So it's together, everyone achieves more, and not try everyone apart from me. And then it's this planning. So if I go in the morning, go with the dog, I'm already planning my day. So the question is, does this count for the time, for the productive time, or is it because I walk with the dog, still free time? In my feeling, it's a free time because I'm walking the dog. I'm not yet in work, but I'm already working on it. I'm already planning it. So it's a little bit of cheating on it, yeah, but while planning my day on this one, will be still in the free time be my area where I can have my thoughts with me. I can work on some planning. But if you put now both together in a content, we have the self-measurement from before, where we say like, okay, in content, somehow a client has to pay for it. So my estimation, my first one's at 20 hours, got accepted by the client. My internal calculation, someone was saying like, I hope he does it in 18, so we have more profit. So now we have this productivity measurement for the corporation, who makes like how we make money, and my self-measurement. Now, as we shoot out the 20, we got 20 accepted by the client, we needed 27. So even not more output than input, we put more in, so we got out. Now, if we take this as a training, and like, we train on the self-measurement, what should happen is that the next time you ask me, hey, what is the time you need for creating a database? I would tell you 30 hours. To put the 2 on top of it, to just make it round. Yeah. And hopefully, because I learned how to do it, and I did a good documentation, and I worked on some tools on it, I don't need the 27, I need 15. So then we actually get the objective measurement even better. That's training on the self-measurement helps us to get more productive and work on some stuff. Then by having all these tasks and planned up, that was the ideal world. I can plan it, I have my structure, I'm working on my tasks. Now, especially in remote, we notice that we get not on this active side where we are planning, where we are in our task and just hyper focus on it. We get more reactive. And those both things work together, like against it. So we get squeezed into the part where we want to work active and the part where we just react. And reacting means something comes in, a message or information comes in, and you're reacting immediately on it. So you're taking out of your own working rhythm and you react only. And that happens right now more. So same exercise. You have 10 seconds, write down the percentage if you were more active or reactive during those last 8 weeks. You have 10 seconds from now. Good, stop and keep this again on your paper or in the chat. Now, if we react and we be pushed into the reactive mode, those questions while it happens. So ask yourself, do you check your phone every time it beeps? Or makes this fancy noise lying on the desk? Do you check your inbox just if something pops up and in the right corner of your laptop? So that, yeah, new message, new message. Are you really constantly checking everything on your phone? Reacting on it. If a message comes in, you immediately read it, you immediately look at it. Or do you respond to it immediately? And then the next part is, how do you feel if messages coming in? Are you anxious, disturbed in your workflow, or curious? Now, how we react on messages comes in also comes together with the first part. If we didn't really accept a task or we are on a task we don't like, everything coming in and disturbs us is welcome because it takes us off of the task we don't like. Yeah? But also we have some feelings, we have a bad day, and so new messages coming in, I feel already unproductive and it just makes me anxious what's going on now. Even more in those remote times where we don't know what's going on, it can have a lot of different feelings with us. So it's really important also to ask yourself how often you're doing it and how you feel when something comes in.
Norbert.
Now let's work a little bit with this.
Norbert?
Yes?
In terms of the work structure and the messages coming in, how do you work with your own work culture and the boundaries, or setting up boundaries, if the work culture that you're in is respond immediately?
That's a good part. The response immediately work culture is actually which we have to try to avoid. So if we have it done internal, if we have it on an internal level, that this culture is actually set by management, you have to respond immediately, then we have to work on this. A lot of this culture part, we work on communication next webinar, because that's the way how information coming in, we can work on this culture really, really easily to change it, to know, do I have to react or do I don't have to react? So the problem is on the communication level in this part. If there's no filter, if every information seems to have the same priority, then we are in trouble. This is what we have to change. We have to get a different variety on it, that we know if I look at the message popping up on the right corner, do I have to react and what I don't have to react. That's changing the culture. If it's a client side, then it gets harder because it's your customer, it's your client, and so you have to, but you can train them. There are possibilities to train them to say like what they have to do. So we're coming on it on communication level. Also, we come later on to this part again, but just a quick notice. You can just quickly remind like, got it, I'm on it, I will be back to you in 8 hours, 6 hours. So he got this information back, but you still got your time. So this little thing took you 10 seconds and you freed yourself. One thing I like to do. Does it answer your question?
I believe so. Thanks.
Good. Okay, so come back to the work structure on Reactive. Just have the assumption that every time you react and you're taken out of the task you're doing right now, you need between 5 and 15 minutes to get focused and your head back into the game, what you were doing before. Now, this 5 to 15 minutes really depends on your feelings. If you're anxious, the time is longer. If you're just looking for something to be disturbed, you can cut it down, but it's between 5 and 15 minutes. Now, our second assumption is that we are important. So I have at least one meeting a day, which takes me around 1 hour of preparation and coming out of it again. And I got a lot of messages because I'm important. The third assumption is we're working 8 hours a day. Now, if you start doing the math, if I need 15 minutes to refocus, I have 8 hours, which is 480 minutes a day, breaks already taken out, and I got 24 messages. which we have to work on assumption 2, because 24 messages is 3 an hour, so I'm not sure if it's so important. No, joking. 24 messages, we are reacting immediately on a day. That means you only have 1 hour left where you actually have your head in the game and work under your conditions, under your time frame actively. If we cut this a little bit down and be able to need only 10 minutes, same 24 messages, it gets already better, but we are still lower on the active part. So we have to cut it down to 5 minutes while we act immediately on those 24 messages to actually have a higher active work time. The best thing is if we are able to keep it on 5 minutes and only act on 4 messages a day. Then we have a nice structured work day, and that is the days when you get your things done and you feel more productive. But why does it affect us so much while we are actually being remote? The answer is in itself, because we are remote. And being remote makes us even more looking at every message, because I have this feeling I could miss something important. Think about it. You don't have this small talk, coffee talk, where you just grab a coffee, stay around with the team, with the group, sitting in a group office, getting all this information on the side, which fills your day, and you don't have to process it, you don't have to react on it, but you have this information and you can work with it. This information now is not there, it's not present, or it comes in digital. Messages, messages, messages. So all this side information we have during a normal working day in the office, we get now even electronically. And so the messages we get and the feelings we have, even for the unimportant messages we have to react, gets more and more. So yes, that's the point. We are remote, and so we have to structure this better. The biggest part is, and some people say, I'm actually happy if I get disturbed because I can't concentrate anyway, being at home with all the noise going around. And so everybody who comes in with messages and asks me something to do immediately is a nice distraction to then give me a reason to focus, because it's hard right now to focus. Because we have days where we don't know what's going on, and then this is, of course, a nice distraction. So we have to work to minimize this checking for messages. We have to work on reacting immediately to minimize this. And we have to work on this negative feelings if something comes in. Those are parts we have actively worked to minimize it. And we have to work to get our time better planned. We have to work on our focus and on our task order. And then we get this active part in balance to the reactive part. And if we get the active part higher and higher, we'll be more productive. Now you ask me how to. That's, again, a cycle, and it always repeats and repeats and repeats with everything. So the most important part is clear expectations, deadlines, total quality management, system, it's called get things done, and then review. And then it starts over again. Now, expectations. You have internal, you have external. You have your own and management, client, team, and your own expectation. So I'll just give you a quick example. Client calls me and says, Norbert, I need an offer at noon. I'm in a meeting at noon, and there's a huge opportunity for you. Just give me about this and this an offer. I crush the numbers, I write everything quick and dirty down, hand it over to my team. It's like, please correct the errors, make the grammar correctly. We have to send this out. Client is in a meeting at noon. And I'm waiting. I don't get my offer back. It's get close to noon, and I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it. 5 minutes before noon, I get everything back. 200% perfect. If I would put this in for the Nobel Prize on this offer, I would get the Nobel Prize. I'll send it out to the client. He's already in the meeting. He doesn't check his emails. So that's gone. So I would say productivity 0. Yeah. So point is, the expectation weren't clear. The client says, I'm in a meeting at 12, at noon. I didn't really clarify and make any expectation to my team, like just quickly go on the grammar, just get the, wrong words out, but don't make it perfect. Just make it that it's not totally wrong. The client needs it only that he gets the numbers in his own presentation. So the client needs time to put it in. So the expectation weren't clear. I just said, like, fix it. And client is in a meeting at noon. So there was no real clear expectation what to need to be done. So the expectation needed to be set really, really clear on this one. I need only a quick overview. I need it faster and not perfect. So that would be the correct expectation, which brings us also to the deadline. So because the clients are like, I'm in a meeting at noon, I should anticipate already, okay, meeting at noon. What is his fair time he needs it? What did I promise? I said, like, yeah, you have it before noon. 5 minutes before noon is it's before noon. So come on, I promised you before noon, and it was before noon. But actually that doesn't really help. So there would be a fair time to give it to him, that he has still the time to work on it. It's a safe time, which would be probably 10 a.m. to give him 2 hours. 11 a.m. would be probably fair. And the latest, maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes before the meeting. So that's suddenly there are more times around it on this deadline than only noon. Internally, we have also different deadlines. So I have to see when I can hand it over to the team, and that gives them an exact deadline when I need it. If I want to keep the fair time, at least, and it's 11, I have to tell my team I need it by 10:30, because then still I have to send it out. I still have to check it. So just telling that I need it by 10, then I can't give it at 10 to the client. There's still processing time in between because I have to go in. Well, I'm just sending it up blind, and then I know it's 30 seconds. Yeah. And own expectation, how long I need. So everything number I tell, in the mornings there's important things. So I need it by noon. Enough time, 4 hours left. I look at it later. So really expectation, what I need and what are the deadlines. And there's not always one deadline. The deadlines before the real deadline, those are the important ones. Brings us to TQM, Total Quality Management. If you Google it, you find a lot about it. Yeah. Main thing is that you try to keep the quality high. You have a customer focus. So customer can be internal, external, team, management, everything. We just call it customer. Then you have your planning process you have to work on. Self-measurement too, when you make your list, how you plan all your tasks. You have the whole process going into it, and then the process improvement. And important, you have to put everybody who needs to be involved and accept also that you go this circle on total quality management. Now, talking about total quality management, it's not always the big picture. You can address it to every single task you're doing. Yeah? Every single task should be in quality good. And what I learned most about total quality and applying it to everything is try to do it once and do it right the first time. Now you say to me, hey, you just said, like, don't make it 200%, don't win the Nobel Prize, just give it to me quickly. Yes, because total quality management only works against expectations. So if I tell you I need it not totally fixed, I need it faster than later, then those are the expectations, and that's the quality we have to meet, faster. So if I set the frame exactly what I need, it's also, if the product is, the feature is ready 80%, and that's the expectation, it's good. That's the quality which we need. We have to work with quality against expectations. Otherwise, we have the problem as described before. Now, why TQM is so important? Because if we want to feel productive, we don't have to fix things. Fixing things takes a lot of time and it's more expensive. So by touching everything again and again and again, I'm losing time and I have to do something. I actually already ticked off. I delivered it. It's off my list. I'm on the next one. I have to go back and fix it and fix it and fix it. So I'm losing a lot of time and I don't feel productive on those things because I do something which should be already done. Worse, if I have to fix something for someone else in the team. On top of it, an unhappy client has a good negotiation situation. He will demand much, much more out of it from you for free. And you have to work now against the unhappy client. And I always like it. I negotiate a lot. If something went wrong, what I needed to deliver, I will add things to it and I will ask more to get happy again. That's part of the game. So suddenly you work and more and you have to put more in and you get nothing out. Now let's go to the interesting part. Get things done. How to get things done is you have to prepare your action list. I said before, make your day, plan your day, make sure you know when you're doing what. So to be in the active side. But that means you have to get the things out you want to have. In your mind, there's so many things you want to do and so many things you have to accomplish. If you don't get it in an order, in a nice to-do list, it gets hard because you get easier distracted. So get things out, write them down. It's a simple text file like this. I like to structure, that's a form I use. I use a simple text file and every task I'm taking on, I'm just hitting what comes into my mind. If it gets more complex, I'm using mind map systems to structure it more out. But simple things, I take a list, I just get everything which is in my mind out. And then I'm creating an action list. Out of this action list, with every item, I ask myself, I wrote everything out. And now I ask me, can I do it in less than 2 minutes? If I can do it in less than 2 minutes, I just do it. It's done. Tick off. If I can't do it in less than 2 minutes, I plan it. Now, do I need to plan it? Does it actually have an action following? Do I have really to do something? If yes, then I plan it. I plan, then I'm doing it. Can be today, can be tomorrow, can be, depending on the deadline, in a week. But I'm planning it out of my list. Does it have any context? And now it gets complicated. It doesn't have any context and it doesn't have any action to follow. That comes in the maybe later bucket. If I have really a lot of time, I can look at it. So it's out of my mind. It's on the list, but it's in, I look whenever I have time to it because it has no context. It has no action to follow. It has no deadline. So for your information, look at it when I have time, nothing to do. If it's project allocated, of course it has a context. It should have deadlines if it's project allocated. So it brings it better for planning into it. Then I plan all my dates and my time. And with the first exercise, as I had already in mind how long it will take me, I can plan it in my calendar. So don't make the mistake like, yeah, tomorrow I make it tomorrow and everything is on 8 o'clock. No, if it takes me 2 hours, the next one can only come at 10. So I'm really start planning it. And then I'm reviewing my list at least once a week. So in this, I'm coming into my self-training of my own measurement of my own lists I'm having. I get all my stuff out and you will feel it if you write things down and have it out of your mind. You feel free, your shoulders get light and you can actually work on your list. Important is that you get to be active if you want to get things done. So yes, work on it, have your day plan. And one I gotta always ask is, first thing in the morning, I have a meeting. Then I'm sorry. You have to be planning your day before you jump on the first meeting. Because if you haven't planned your day, if you jump on the first meeting, you come out with a lot of information, you haven't done everything, you need a break after the meeting to recap everything, and then your day is already starting to be, sometimes it's already noon, and you have done nothing. You just came out of the meeting, and you're just running behind your day. So just plan it ahead. Yeah. And understand your own comfort level. Where do you feel to check messages? When to start things? And I'm an early person. I like to be early up, and I don't have any problem to be the first thing. I have my routine. I get my coffee. I go with the dog. I have my routine, and then I set up, check my messages. I need to do it because I also work with Europe. So for them, it's already late. Until I check my message, they are already probably waiting, and it's for them, it's late. So yes, I have to check them early in the morning, but then I structure because they already used to wait. It's already late. So I can plan it. I can look at, can I do it in 2 minutes? No, then I plan it and I inform them when I'm doing it. So I start planning my day, and I get a lot of things accomplished already early in the morning. So you see already the time working with different time zone comes also into consideration when you check your message. But then ask yourself, how often do you have to check really your messages? Do you have to act immediately on every message? Or extremely sad, is it enough if you check your messages at 11 and 3, 11 a.m. and 3 p.m.? And then you add them to your list, what you have to do. Try it out once. You will see, if you can be patient enough to wait to check your messages, and you got your day already started and you have your leftovers planned from last day, it's fine. If you don't work in different time zones, actually in the mornings, there shouldn't be anything in your inbox if you did your day correctly. Except someone sends you at 8 p.m., 9 p.m. stuff he needs to be done by 7 a.m. But then you have a communication problem. Yeah. So normally, if you structure it and you set the expectation when you check your messages with all your team and even the clients, no, you don't react immediately, like jump on it 5 minutes later, the message came, or 1 minute. It's good. Try it out to cut down the time you check your messages and start planning your day better. Yeah. And then you have to review it. So that's the way how you can actually start getting more active. Of course, looking at the time zone, even in Canada, we have a lot of time zones. You have to take this in consideration. So if I tell you, yeah, check your message at 11, and you work with time zone where 11 for them, it's already the day is gone, you should check them before that. Okay, now the whole approach, the main thing is reviewing. Feel if this works for you. If it's on get things done, how you write the things out, how you make it, don't make it too complicated. Have a systems how you get the information out easily. Don't start to make it too complicated. Just get the information out, and if it's out, start planning it. Yeah. Don't do it and start like first task out, start planning. No, get everything out and then work with the full list. Try to build variation which works best for you. So I found mine. I'm working with a tab order in a simple text file that works fine for me, even on complex stuff. Never just accept everything. Really give you the time to work on your rhythm, to work on your approach, how you want to like to do it, how you do it. But the main focus is always review. Could I get more active and get the reactive part down? So that's your process you have to do. And you have to accept challenges. Like, yes, tomorrow I'm checking first time at 11. Just try it once and see if you survive or if everything goes down. Now, let's look at the result. If you now got a number in your head, or you write it down, and you say like, I was so productive, and actually I was 100% in the reactive mode. Fine, that's your style. But then you don't have a feeling you're unproductive probably. Yeah, it's your style, you like it this way. If your productive percentage was really low and your reacting part was high, and you feel like the whole day I'm just running behind everything, I'm always just behind it, and the day is just adding up, and on the end of the day I think like I'm exhausted, I have done nothing, I was just pleasing everybody else, but my things I never got done. So you have to start planning, and you have to get yourself on the active part to this. So what's this thing which we did right now is you make your first self-measurement. If you're writing down this percentage, and if you start telling yourself and put yourself some numbers down and say like, that's what I did. And this writing down this number means you have now fixed this number and you can work against this number. Because we also tend to cheat a little bit. So if we don't fix a number, the next time it's like, no, maybe I could change it a little bit. So if I wouldn't fix in the beginning on the exercise, the 20 hours, and I would keep it visible all the time, what happens is my small task, the results are 28, so I go back in and change it until it meets the 20. But still, I need more time for that. Then I start cheating on the time used, because if I don't want to learn it and I don't want to get better and I want to accept that my planning is wrong, then I can't get better. So we really have to train it. We really have to write down our numbers and accept it. Yes, if I feel unproductive, keep it down and make a reason why it was. Look at it, review it, why I was so unproductive today. And then figure out how to change it. So the self-measurement to get more productive is the most important part. Accept it, write down what goes wrong. Good thing is, if you feel more productive, if you work on yourself, you will see that you influence everybody else, because it changes your mood. And if you're in a better mood, everybody else around you is in a better mood. And if you're all in a little bit better mood, you will be more productive. Open for questions.
So feel free to type in the chat box any questions that you may have. Thank you so much, Norbert. That was great. Lots of practical strategies that we can implement to increase our productivity. Okay. What are your thoughts, Norbert, about multitasking and time blocking?
Okay, multitasking, to be honest, yes, there is no such thing as multitasking. Yeah, might be if you're a military pilot, yes, you could think about there's multitasking, but then you're special trained on this one. On our normal things, I like to tell myself I'm multitasking because I'm having those 3 monitors. So there's running a process on this one. I'll watch if the process is still running. So you could call this multitasking. Yeah. But the only thing we are doing is we are quickly changing focus. So having this monitor, I can watch some stuff going on, and then, because if it does it on its own, and I just have to see if it does it, then yes, but I'm not doing it. I'm just controlling it. I'm just watching it. And I can quickly change focus. I'm looking over to the monitor, it's all good, and looking back to my focus task. So it doesn't disturb me because it's a quick change focus. I like to do multitasking. Yes, it feels us really good if we get at the same time a lot of things done. But it goes back to this 2-minute rule. If you find something, has this come up and it seems like I have to react immediately and I can do it under 2 minutes, I do it. Because I'm not over this 5 minutes break. If I'm like just quickly do it, it feels like multitasking and it feels really productive because I got those things done. If it takes me too long and I have to refocus everything, I'm not multitasking.
And then time blocking?
Time blocking is the most important part. Still, you have to change times. You know, the date that comes in, you have to accept that you have to take a time out and put it to a new block. So now time blocking is, the problem with time blocking is that a lot of things are automated. So for example, if I'm using a system and it reminds me, hey, you should send out this offer to your client because there's a deadline on it, then the system doesn't have to remind me that I have to send it out. It has to block the time already. If I need 2 hours for it, and I know it's a deadline, the system has to write it automatically in. Then we are talking about smart systems. Yeah. If it just reminds me, hey, you have a deadline, and then I have to start doing it, no. If the deadline, system should automatically the time. If it's free, then we have to arrange it on the day. Still, we have our 8 hours. Yeah. So it has to fit. And if a task takes a little time, an automated task like an offer takes 2 hours, then this time needs to be blocked. And especially if it's a deadline. Now, never go as close to your deadline because it never goes how it should go. So you have to have all those lines in it. But time blocking is the most important part in real time blocking. And then don't change it. If you used more time or less time, put it in your system that you learned the lesson and you have to move the other part if it doesn't work. But always keep like, that was my planning, that was the real result. Then you can learn.
Awesome. How do you deal with the less important items that keep getting pushed out because there will always be something more important?
The question is, why can be always something more important? So if we have 5 levels of priority, yeah, so priority 0 is the highest priority. So why there can be something coming higher and the other one gets pulled down. So either we did it wrong in the beginning. That comes because I have nothing on my to-do list, so everything has high priority. I'm just doing it because I'm free of time. That's fair. And then something high priority comes in. But if my list is already full with high priority things, then I probably prioritized it wrong in the beginning.
The next question we have is, sometimes implementing multiple strategies at once can feel overwhelming. What would be the single metric and strategy you'd recommend focusing on to start with for someone who is still a beginner in time management?
Yes, that's totally true. Especially if you look at tools. The simplest way is try 2 things. Try a plain text or try a mind map. And before you actually plan when you do what you do, get everything out. Type everything comes into your mind, or write it on a paper. If I look at tools and I develop tools, still the best things are plain text, and then I use tab to move it in, to get a little bit structure on it, and I can copy it up and down, or I use a mind map if it gets really complex. But the most important thing is get it out. If it's out, suddenly the picture makes sense, and then you can order it and you can structure it, and then you write your time estimations. Don't let too complex tools distract you from your real task because you're fighting against the tools. And most of them like to add features and features and features, and it blocks you to get quick. That's the best trick, and I'm still using it.
Wonderful. And then we have one last question. What are some tips you can give us on email culture, not only to help change our reactive focus, but so the whole organization can be on the same page?
Next week, I have to tell you, that's a huge thing, communication. It's not a quick answer, but let me tell you 2 things. Yeah, less emails, less emails. Bring context to communication. Yeah, that's the part. Awesome. But that we work on. Another nice few things on this one next week. We will address this part. Awesome. And email is a cultural thing. For me, email is no chat. For me, being European, being German, email is like you send me a letter, like you send me a fax. That's an official communication way. Yes.
Okay. Great. So until then, less emails and add context. Yeah. Thank you so much, Norbert. This was a great webinar. Thank you to everyone who joined us today. I hope you found this useful. Check out our YouTube channel for part 1 and part 2 if you want to catch up, and sign up for part 4 next week. Until then, we hope you have a great week.
Have a great week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.